Hello everyone, my name is Anitsu and I'm back with another Digimon budget deck profile video. So today I'm going to be highlighting the purple budget deck. So purple is a very fantastic color to play on a budget because similar to black, a lot of purple's base and a lot of purple's core is in that common and uncommon slot, which just really helps to make the color very affordable, and it still has some relatively decent options on a budget. So I think I priced this deck to be around $15–20-ish, give or take the seller at the current time of recording. So going into the deck list, I'm running 4 copies of Pagumon. So Pagumon is just a very fantastic Digitama for the deck because he has this little built-in mill engine to him where he gives the inheritable ability where when this Digimon's attacking, you get to trash the top card of your deck. So even though we don't want to be milling a whole lot, we still want to self-mill a little bit just so we could get our trash in a healthy position for some of our other cards. Next, on to the rookies. I'm going to be running 4 copies of DemiDevimon because this is just the value vanilla card of the deck. There's not really much else to them. Next up, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Gabumon. So this Gabumon is an absolutely fantastic card. One of the strongest purple cards in my opinion, because he gives this nice inheritable ability of on deletion, you get to draw 2, discard 1. So drawing 2, discarding 1, not only is it helping to set up your trash, because you're picking whatever card you don't want and throwing it into the trash, so you could either use it to set up or use it to just hand fix, but you're also drawing 2, and drawing 2 is very good because it gets you that much closer to seeing the cards that you want to see. So overall, this Gabumon is fantastic for the deck. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Tapirmon. So Tapirmon is pretty good because he does have some built-in synergy with some of the cards that we're playing with, where he has this nice native ability of on deletion, you get to draw 1. So this card is just a great card to basically use as sacrifice fodder for some of our other cards, and on top of which, when we do sacrifice him, then again, we get to draw 1. Or he's really good just for suiciding into the opponent's security because he does have rather low DP, so he's not going to be winning a whole lot of security checks. And then when he dies to the security check, you're still going to be drawing 1. So either way, this card is just a very fantastic card. And then the last rookie of the deck is 2 copies of Tsukaimon. So Tsukaimon is a pretty decent Digimon because he gives this nice inheritable ability of on deletion, you gain 1 memory. So we do have a couple of cards that just want to be deleted, and we do have a couple of cards to forcibly delete some of our Digimon, but either way, this is just a very fantastic inheritable ability just because it's allowing us to gain some memory for our higher levels being deleted. Next up, onto the champions, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Wizardmon. So Wizardmon, we're really only going to be using his ability of his on deletion, where we get to draw 1 card. So this is really good for setting up with our Tsukaimon, this is really good for setting up with our Gabumon, and this is a card that, again, we also want to have it be sacrificed, so it's acting as that like stopper and being really good sacrificial fodder because of his ability paired up with some of our rookies' abilities. So overall, this is just a very good card for the deck as well. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Vilemon. So Vilemon is just the purple blocker. Blockers are pretty good, so we run Vilemon. And then lastly, we run 4 copies of Devimon because Devimon has this really powerful innate ability of retaliation. So retaliation is when this Digimon is deleted after losing a battle, then you get to delete the Digimon that it was doing battle with. So no, this does not trigger when you're attacking security Digimon, or this does not trigger when it's revealed in the security, but regardless, it's really good for just being a good card to attack into your opponent's large Digimon if they're left unprotected, and a good form of removal for deleting them. And then on top of which, he has the inheritable ability of giving this retaliation skill, so it makes whatever we're digivolving up into still just as threatening as he is. Next, on to the ultimates, I'm running 4 copies of Myotismon. So Myotismon's pretty good just because for his level, he does have a rather low Digivolution cost, and that's really the only reason why we're running him is because he is that quick and efficient card to get us into our higher stages that much more faster and that much more efficiently. And then the last ultimate of the deck is going to be 4 copies of WereGarurumon. So WereGarurumon is really, really good because he has this nice inheritable ability where when attacking once per turn, you could delete one of your other Digimon and unsuspend this Digimon. So this gives a little bit of extra aggression to how purple wants to be played on the higher levels because it allows you to basically get an extra attack in on the opponent because of this unsuspend ability. And what's really nice is we do get to delete one of our Digimon, so we could start triggering some of their on-deletion effects if we really need to start triggering their abilities. Overall, this card is just really good synergy for the deck and is a really powerful card in combination with some of our megas. Speaking of our megas, I'm going to be running 4 copies of VenomMyotismon. So VenomMyotismon is the main mega of the deck just because he is a very, very powerful mega on a budget. So I think this card costs around $2, $2.50, again, depending on the seller, and he's going to be one of the most expensive cards in the deck. But for a budget deck, this card is actually really, really good because he has Security Tech +1 innately, so that means pair that up with WereGarurumon in his evolution source, and you could potentially hit for 4 security really, really quickly, which is very, very powerful to think about, especially for purple. And then on top of which, he has a nice ability where during your opponent's turn, when one of your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, then you get to gain 1 memory. This ability effectively, for each attack the opponent is making, you get to take away 1 of their memory. So this is just really good at trying to limit what the opponent can do because of that control ability on top of having Security Tech +1 to deal a lot of good potential damage. So overall, this is just a very, very fantastic mega for the deck, and as such is the main mega for the deck. And then the last mega that's going to be in the deck is 4 copies of Boltmon. So Boltmon is just the alternative mega, and he's really good because compared to a lot of other megas, he just has a really cheap Digivolution cost. So just the ability to Digivolve up into him rather quickly makes him a very decent Digimon, on top of which, compared to a lot of purple Digimon, having the 12,000 DP does matter, because purple, for the most part, doesn't have the largest amount of cards with a solid DP, so Boltmon and VenomMyotismon both having 1200 DP does actually matter for the deck, especially since we're not playing anything that can boost the DP of our Digimon. Next, on to the options, I'm running 4 copies of Night Raid. So Night Raid is just a really, really powerful option card for purple because it's a very, very cost-efficient card. What the card does is it costs 2, and then you get to play 1 purple level 3 Digimon from your trash without paying its cost, and then you don't get the on-play effects. Well, none of them have on-play effects, so that's not really that big of a downside, but the fact that it costs 2 and almost all of our rookies cost at least 3 means that we're going to be gaining a lot of potential value out of this card, especially since it has some really good synergy because our level 3s just are very, very efficient and very, very valuable for the deck. And then it has a nice security effect of activating its main effect. So whether it's in your hand or in the security, it's just going to be a very, very good card for you to play no matter what. And then the last option card of the deck is going to be 2 copies of Heat Viper. So Heat Viper is a really interesting removal card for the deck because its main ability is you get to delete 1 of your Digimon to delete 2 of the opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So it's not exactly the most efficient or effective removal card, but the fact that they still have a budget removal card is still very, very good. This also hits multiple Digimon if you can set it up properly, and it also deletes 1 of our Digimon, so we could start triggering their on-deletion effects. So this card is still doing quite a lot for the deck, even though it's not the most optimal or the efficient, but it's still a very good card, especially on a budget. And then its security ability is just adding this card into your hand. So again, just kind of everything that the deck wants to be doing, and it's still just a very, very good card to have. And then as far as tamers go, because this is a budget deck, we're only going to be running 2 copies of Matt Ishida. So Matt Ishida is the other most expensive card in the deck, where it's about $253 currently. And this is just a very fantastic card for the deck overall. So not only is it your memory fixing tamer, which memory fixing tamers are very, very good, but they do become a little bit harder to play the later the game goes on. But regardless, what makes Matt a really, really good card is his on-play effect, where he gets to return a purple option or purple Digimon back into our hand from our trash. So this kind of whole feeds into, like, we don't really want to go super heavy on the mill, but we want to have just enough to where we have more options than what we normally would have available to us. And then on top of which, it's just adding some of the cards back into our hand, so that way we could get ready to reuse them. And some of the cards we do kind of want to reuse because, again, they're just really, really efficient value cards. And then as far as other cards that you could possibly think about running while not trying to break the bank is you could run Yamon as your 5th Digitama, because we can set up our trash to where we get 5 or more cards in there, so that way we could at least have some form of DP booster. But him being a rare makes him a little bit outside of that $20 budget range that I'm trying to get the deck in, so he's just a good inclusion if you want to upgrade the deck. You could also think about running Itmon if you really want to. He does have the nice on-deletion ability of milling us 3 cards, but again, we're not trying to go super hard into the self-mill strategy because currently with the budget form of the deck, we don't really have that big of the payout for doing it, but he's definitely a card you could run if you really want to do that. You could also think about running Garurumon. So this form of Garurumon is really good because he has a nice inheritable ability of during your turn, once per turn, when one of your other Digimon is deleted, then you get to gain 1 memory. So this could trigger from when we either sacrifice our Digimon or it dies through battle with either an opponent's Digimon or the security. So it's just a very nice ability to have just to gain some extra memory. But that's kind of like why we're playing Tsukaimon, but this combos really nicely if you have this and then another Digimon with Tsukaimon in its inheritable sources, and then you'll just be gaining 2 memory, so it's just a really interesting card to think about and possibly use. If you really want to spend more on the deck, then you could definitely run Chimeramon. So Chimeramon is just a very, very fantastic ultimate card where it has this nice on-play ability where you get to delete one of your Digimon to delete one of the opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. So yes, this doesn't kill a Mega, but it basically kills everything else but a Mega, and that's what makes it really important. On top of which, it's still feeding into a lot of the strategies and synergies that the deck currently has, where we could sacrifice some of our weaker Digimon to gain a whole bunch of extra benefits on top of harming the opponent at the same time. And then if you want another rare to act as some extra removal, then you could also play Trump Sword. So Trump Sword is just their big key removal card. The deck doesn't exactly need it in terms of the budget build, but if you want to splurge a little bit extra to get some copies of Trump Sword, then Trump Sword definitely is going to be a really powerful inclusion in the deck, where you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon that is unsuspended. And then if you really want to, you could also experiment a little bit with Back for Revenge, because we are playing a whole bunch of self-sacrifice cards, so the ability to basically give the ability to replay it is really, really powerful, because we could use this card's ability to set up some additional triggers on some of our other Digimon. If you really want to start adding in some tech cards from some other colors, you could also think about running Skullgreymon, because Skullgreymon is really great because we don't need to Digivolve up into him. We don't care about anything other than his on-play ability to delete an opponent's Digimon with blocker. So Skullgreymon is definitely a really nice tech card you could possibly think of. And similar to Skullgreymon, you could also run Volcanicdramon because, again, this is just a very, very powerful card that we care mostly for its on-play ability. This card is also pretty good as a standalone card because it does have security tech +1 innately, so it could also help you deal some extra security damage. But we're really looking to play this card because of its really powerful ability to delete all of the opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. Then you could also run Puppetmon if you really want to, because he has a really nice on-play ability, and he also has a really nice on-attacking ability. So his on-play ability is suspending one of the opponent's Digimon, and then stun-locking all of their suspended Digimon. So that's just really powerful because it helps you win the damage race, and then he has a really nice when attacking ability to just gain 1 memory. So overall, Puppetmon is a very fantastic tech card to add in. And then lastly, you could also think about running Magnadramon. So Magnadramon is another on-play Mega with a very powerful ability. So its on-play ability is we get to recover 2 if we have 3 or fewer or less in our security. So this is just a pretty good ability because it helps us refresh our security and keep us in the game a little bit longer. We are never really going to use its when attacking ability, but we also care about the fact that this is a yellow Digimon, so if we really wanted to, we could pair this up with Wizardmon, and Wizardmon would gain the retaliation ability. So Magnadramon is just another very fantastic card that we could think about running, on top of some of the other on-play Digimon. So for the most part, this is just kind of the purple value deck, or the purple budget deck, just because purple is one of the few colors that has basically all of its native tools built into the booster box, and you should reasonably be able to build this type of a deck with only about 2 booster boxes if you're lucky on your pulls. But regardless, this is still a very, very cheap and affordable deck, and it's still a very efficient deck because all of what purple is doing is just very, very powerful. And if you like this content and want to help support the channel, I do have a TCG Player affiliate link down in the description below. If you use that link to purchase anything off of tcgplayer.com, then some of the money will end up going to supporting me in the channel. Then I have also partnered up with Overcard Gamers on Facebook, and they are nice enough to print some of my playmat designs. I will have more playmat designs going up in the future, so feel free to check back on them and some of my designs. And then whenever you mention my YouTube channel to them, they will give a $2 discount off of any of the playmats with my designs on them. And that's kind of all I have for this video. As always, I'll have the deck listed down in the description below, and feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.